This is simply the best beef ragu I have ever made or tasted. This recipe is not difficult to make, but the hard part is being patient and smelling it while letting it cook for a couple hours so it gets rich and delicious. I'm starting by preparing the beef. In a bowl I have 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, and I'm adding in a half a teaspoon each of Lowry seasoning salt and black pepper. If you don't have Lowry's, you can use salt. Giving that a good mix and adding it to 2.5 pounds of cubed beef. I had a chuck roast in the freezer that I cubed into 1.5-inch pieces. You could leave the beef roast whole and braise it in a pan, cook and shred at the end. Giving everything a good toss to get the beef cubes coated. In my skillet on medium-high heat, I'm adding in about 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil and placing in my beef. I'm doing the beef in 2 batches so not to overcrowd the pan. Cooking for 1 to 2 minutes and then turning. The key to this is getting at least 2 sides of the beef with a nice golden crust, which will add a lot of flavor to this dish. Remove the beef from the pan and set to the side when done. You can also brown the beef in the Dutch oven or oven-proof pan that you will be using. It was just easier for me to show you this step by using my cast iron skillet. In my Dutch oven on medium heat, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 medium diced onions, 3 stalks of diced celery, and 4 medium diced carrots. Cooking and stirring for 5 to 7 minutes or until the onions change color. Adding in 4 cloves of minced garlic and 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Cooking and stirring for 1 to 2 minutes or until the paste is incorporated. The one ingredient that makes this dish so rich and comforting is 1.5 cups of red wine. Giving that a good stir and cooking for 1 to 2 minutes. Now goes in all the beef and juices. Cooking and stirring for a couple minutes. Adding in 1 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, or you can use crushed tomatoes. And this is 2.5 cups of beef stock. Actually, this is 2 cups of my homemade beef stock, and I deglazed my pan that I braised my beef with a half a cup of water. Giving that a good stir and turning my heat up to bring this to a simmer before placing in the oven. For the seasonings, I have 1 bay leaf and 1 teaspoon each of thyme and rosemary. If you have some fresh herbs, that would be great. Another good stir, covering with my lid and placing in a preheated 325-degree oven. This is going to slow cook for 2 to 2.5 hours or until the beef is tender and falling apart. Give the beef ragu a stir about halfway through cooking. The beef ragu is done and it has my house smelling amazing. For a little boost of flavor, I have a 1/4 cup of fresh chopped parsley and 1 teaspoon of basil. Giving that a good stir. Tonight I'm serving the beef ragu with pappardelle. This is a wide flat pasta that is nice and hearty, and it will go well with the ragu. I'm saving a little of the pasta water for when we add the pasta to the ragu. Now let's put this all together. You can use a large bowl, or here I'm using a pan to do individual servings. Spooning in a couple ladles of that wonderful beef ragu and a handful of pappardelle pasta and a little drizzle of that pasta water. This will help the sauce stick to the pasta. Giving that a good toss. If you are looking for a rich and comforting meal to impress your friends and family, look no further. This elegant beef ragu recipe will win them over. garnishing with fresh parsley and a grating of Parmesan cheese. Serving with a side of toasted garlic bread. I hope you give this beef ragu recipe a try and enjoy. You will need 2 to 2.5 pounds of stewed beef for this recipe. I'm cutting up a chuck roast and keeping the pieces about 1.5 inches square, a fairly nice rustic size. You could also use a sirloin or London broil cut. In my skillet on medium-high heat, I have about 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil and I'm adding in the beef. I'm cooking the beef in a couple batches so I don't overcrowd the pan. Cooking for 2 to 3 minutes on 2 sides so I get a nice golden crust. This is flavor. Once done, I'm removing the beef and setting to the side. In the same pan on medium heat, I'm adding in a couple tablespoons of butter along with the leftover oil, 3 cloves of minced garlic, 1 large diced onion, a little salt and black pepper. Cooking and stirring for about 5 minutes, and as the onions cook down and release their moisture, they will help deglaze the pan and pick up that flavor. Now we are going to make our roux or the thickener for the gravy. This is a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Cooking and stirring for a couple minutes. I'm slowly adding in 2 cups of beef broth, turning my heat up to bring this up to a simmer. Cooking and stirring, and you will start to see the gravy form. This is really starting to smell good. I have 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, a 1/4 cup of Worcestershire sauce, and a 1/4 cup of red wine. These really add some depth of flavor and richness to the gravy, giving that a good stir. I have a sprig of fresh rosemary and some thyme, and I'm adding the beef and the juices back into the pan, bringing this up to a low simmer, covering and cooking for an hour, occasionally stirring. It's been 1 hour, and I'm giving it a taste test for any seasonings. Now I'm adding in my mushrooms and giving it a stir, bringing back up to a simmer, covering and cooking for another 30 minutes to 1 hour or until the beef is fall apart tender. The beef tips are done, and I'm adding in a slurry of 1 tablespoon of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water to help thicken the gravy. Cooking and stirring until the gravy thickens. This looks good to me, but you can make it as thick or as thin as you like. You could also remove the lid on the pan for the last half hour, and this will help reduce the liquid and thicken the gravy. Serving tonight over butter parsley noodles. You can also serve this with potatoes, rice, or even some broccoli. The beef is so tender, and the gravy is rich in flavor. A definite comfort meal. I hope you give this beef tips and gravy recipe a try and enjoy. If you like this video recipe, please hit the like and subscribe button. Remember to hit the bell next to the subscribe to make sure that you get my future video recipes. You can also find me on Facebook and at my website. Feel free to share this recipe and my channel with your friends and family. And until next time, much love.